go to WWE, became a celebrity, went to the looking like coins, toy coins, all kinds of coins. You got to meet different people. And then the next highlight was
for me, I mean, it's like, Vince McMahon always, he says, stand up, got an idea, and he said, I think you're the guy for it. He says, but I can't tell you what it is unless you really come on board to let them know that good idea play. And that was, and like I said, it's just, when I finally said, okay, what is it? He said, the one thing everybody hates is someone who, by virtue of their wealth, bullies people. And that's how the $1 Million Man, came into being. And he says, I haven't named this or anything. And just off the top of my head, I said, it sounds like $1 Million Man to me. And he goes, $1 Million Man it is. And that's how that was created. And, that was the greatest one of my life. And the things that Vince did, now he didn't do this for the entirety of what I did. He said, I'm going to fly you everywhere first class. You're going to have limousine service when you get off the plane, to the hotel, to the Coliseum, back to the hotel, back to the airport. I want the people, the public, to see the $1 Million Man everywhere you go. It was a tough job. Somebody had to do it.
that was a heat seeking.
I said, yeah, and I told Vince, I said, look, yeah. I said, I'm going to have a lot of heat with everybody in the dressing room. But I think, most of the guys just said, what, if it had been me, I'd grab it too. Plus, I could back it up.
What about you, Earl? Anything that you were proud of, or the most proud moment or match that you were part of?
Well, I'm proud of being that God gave me the opportunity to be in this business and be around all these guys like right here and the rest of them. It's just a great honor for me from where I came from to where I am now. But I've never been anybody without these guys. And they have pushed me and helped me, like I said, to thick and thin, and I've done some good things, I've done some bad things, but I would be nobody without them. They're the people that made me. I didn't make myself. They're the ones that gave in and helped me and gave me this to do, that to do, and so I owe my life to all these guys that put on that boot for me.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Now, Luke, you mentioned merchandise. Starting with the merchandise. T-shirts, toys, video games. Yeah,
Even ice creams.
Do you have a favorite piece of merchandise where you saw your likeness on it that kind of blew your mind?
Everything. Bedding, pillowcases, curtains, the doors, the handle windows, coaches on your bed, all of the things your bodies on, everything at the time. Unbelievable.
So specifically for you, I had this when I was a kid. I don't know if you guys remember this. In the early 90s, they had this little, they were your head, little bush, little like water
Squeeze
squirts.
heads.
Yeah.
I didn't keep any of them. It all went to the Great Bush and St. Petersburg, Florida. It's been the case. Call WWE office and say I'm doing stuff to Great Bush. And then we sit down a lot of stuff, move it away to people that was past, and that's what it is.
Ted, what about you? Anything that you saw as presented to you for the first time that you just couldn't believe?
Well, when Vince sat down and told me what this character was going to be, and it was almost like, that's like I said, I think he I said, yeah, in the ring and in the dressing room, you know, like, I was like, yeah, of course, aside from Hogan, those are the only two guys that who ever did got all that. But, you know, Vince says, you know, we're going to try to make the public believe you really, you know, so, my wife and I, anybody would die. So he said, we'll start being the $1 million man. When I got in the car with my wife, I said, you're not going to believe this. We just hit the jackpot. Big time. So anyway. And, yeah, I mean, you know, when Vince said this, he said, if I could have been a character in my own show, I'd have been you.
What about you, Earl? You just had a lot of stuff come out recently.
Yeah, I was really grateful and thankful that I got action figures and the last one shirts out, and that I never thought that would ever happen for wrestling, period. But, you know, thank God. But they waited until I'm damn 80 years old. That wasn't when I was young.
Alright, and then I'll just ask one final question because I run out of time here. Do you guys still keep up with wrestling on TV? Are you paying attention to it? What are your thoughts on modern wrestling?
You know, I don't. Here's my opinion. I think the girls' division of WWE did a much better job of telling the story. And I believe that's because Jake Finley, who was excellent, is the one that's taking care of the girls. The guys, you know, I'm pretty disappointed. And it's like they go in the ring and they do all these fancy moves, but none of them mean anything. If you do moves, you gotta tell the story. I don't think the guys are telling the story.
One guy does tell the story. That's old. He's still generating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His dad and his grandfather were both wrestlers. And I still play some one of the best workers there. He only does a high flying when it's needed. Not like everybody else. Tall. And typically important.
Yeah, Randy Orton. And then Earl. Earl, you and I were talking earlier about that Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes match not too long ago. Look at there are still guys that come from that pedigree for wrestling. Know what it's all about.
Well, AEW called me up and said, Cody wants you to wrestle him in Dustin's match. And I said, I don't really want to do it. Let my son do it. Let Brian do it. He goes, no, but Cody wants you to do it. I said, well, I just don't want to do it. Let Brian do it. And like a couple days later, Cody called me. And he says, Big Earl. He said, you know my dad would want you to do that. I mean, he would love for you to do it. I didn't say no. If he hadn't called me, it would have been no. I said, okay. So, went down there, had done the match, and this, that, and the other. And I sat around, no, this is the second one. Anyway, he goes, I want you to come to work for me just before he left and went to deputy. He said, I want you to come to work for me at TV. And I said, Tony, I really don't want to do that. He said, yeah, but it's just TVs. I said, I know, but TVs is somewhere every week and you've got to fly, and I just don't want to do that anymore. I said, I've done it all my life and I'm just sick of it. And he goes, well, I need you to help me with my referees. I need you to train my referees. And so help me. I sit in the room with those referees about the first time I got there. And I said, why do you guys, y'all in the ring, and you do it? They throw a punch and you guys are doing this, and doing this, and come off the top rope, and splash and doing this. I said, y'all sell more than the wrestlers. I said, truthfully, you look stupid. Then, the girl referee, Aubrey, I was sitting there in the thing with QT one night in catering, and he says, I got some ideas, I want to bring you in and do something. I said, well, I got to get my knees fixed, my knees are bad. I had my knees replaced, that's why I got cane right there. Let me tell you this real quick, the first one, come loose, I had to go back and do it over again. So I stopped at Home Depot and got a can of Gorilla Glue, because he said the glue coming loose. I went back and I said, here, use this. He said, what is that? I said, Gorilla Glue. I said, your shit didn't work the first time. I had to come back again. But anyway, I told Kiki, I said, Kiki, y'all made one big mistake on here with that girl. He said, what's that? I said, well, hit her in the head with the guitar. I said, yeah, it's bigger than, she's got a bigger damn head now than she had before. He said, you're right. But, you know, those guys are most of the referees now, honestly. When I was refereeing TVs, right after lunch, after catering, I go to the ring, and when I had 1 match, 3 matches, I stay there and learn the whole match. Now all these guys go up and just go, what are we doing? Okay. They don't know no spots, where to be, or what to do. And I just think the referees now are just there to be on TV. They don't put in what we put in the old days. You all agree? Yeah? I mean, it's, you know, just like the referee got hurt. I don't know if any of y'all heard about it or seen it. In OVW a long back. That was the most horrible thing I've ever seen in my life.